Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. So in today's video, we're going to be covering Senator Bill Cassidy absolutely hammering Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Biden's lack of action in regards to Social Security. Meanwhile, Bill Cassidy continues working behind the scenes with Angus King on their bipartisan plan to save Social Security by raising the full retirement age up to 70. We'll be going over that. And finally, we discussed why the 2024 COLA could end up massively disappointing and could actually end up being nothing at all. Now, before I get into today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so during a Senate Finance Committee hearing on Thursday, of the topics they discussed included Social Security and its future solvency. Now, in Joe Biden's plan, he hopes to raise taxes on Americans earning above $400,000 per year. Now, if nothing is done at all beneficiaries of Social Security in the year that it goes insolvent will receive a benefit cut of 25%. Now, according to Breitbart, Janet Yellen does not know the tax rate to cover Joe Biden's proposed tax hikes to save Social Security. So during Thursday's Senate Finance Committee hearing, Yellen vowed the president is willing to work with Congress to develop a plan to address Social Security. That plan reportedly includes raising $4.5 trillion in taxes from people making over $400,000. Biden has also pledged to fix Medicare, the national debt, and Social Security. Bill Cassidy said, quote, "The president in the past has proposed increasing taxes on those making over $400,000 to pay for it." He went on to ask, what would the rates have to be on the 2% of Americans who earn over $400,000 to do Medicare, the debt, and deficit, and also address the 75-year shortfall of Social Security? Yellen responded by stating that Biden has vowed to raise taxes on high-income earners. Cassidy then went on to ask, do you think it's realistic that he can pay for Medicare, debt, and deficit, and also address the 75-year shortfall of Social by only laying higher taxes on those who make more than 2%? I'm sure there is a projection of how much those would have to be. Can you tell us what those rates would have to be to do everything he is saying? Yellen went on to say, I can't tell you that. Cassidy responded, if you cannot tell me, I presume they have not actually modeled what those rates would have to be, which tells me he has not been developing his plan to protect Social Security. Yellen then claimed that the president is completely committed to protecting seniors who rely on Social Security. So from there, Cassidy went on to ask Yellen more questions about Social Security and Biden's seemingly lack of really caring about saving the program, noting that him, Angus King, and his other bipartisan group of senators who are trying to develop a plan to save Social Security have tried to reach out to Biden on several different occasions to have some type of meeting with him, and they have not heard back. Watch.
The president knows many people on Social Security.
Then why doesn't the president care?
He cares very deeply.
Then where is his plan?
He stands ready to work with Congress.
That's a lie,
address.
because when a bipartisan group of senators has repeatedly requested to meet with him about social, so that somebody who is a current beneficiary will not see her benefits cut by 24%, we have not heard anything on our request. And we've made multiple requests to meet with the president. Now, you can't comment on that, I realize that, but that is a fact. And if you've been told to say he stands ready to meet, I will tell you there's absolutely no evidence because we have not gotten our meeting.
Now, in Cassidy's plan with Angus King, they hope to have a sovereign wealth fund where they would be starting out with $1.5 trillion and seeking out 8% returns year over year. And by doing this, they hope to raise more money for the Social Security Trust Fund. In addition to that, they would also be raising the full retirement age from 67 up to 70, which I think a lot of Americans would really be angry about. I mean, over in France, they're having a full-blown protest, at least over the last several months or so, because they're going to be raising the retirement age from 62 up to 64. I believe that actually got passed yesterday by the president via their kind of executive order. They're very angry about that. Now, just imagine if over in France, they were going to be raising the full retirement age up to 70 and not just 64. I'm sure they would be extremely angry. So I'm sure Americans are not going to be too happy about raising the retirement age up to 70, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But according to CNN, protests erupt as French government forces through higher retirement age. So the French government has forced through controversial plans to raise the country's retirement age from 62 to 64, a move likely to inflame the country's week-long protest movement. French President Emmanuel Macron will trigger special constitutional powers to enact the proposed pension reform bill, Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne announced Thursday in the National Assembly, which had not yet voted on the proposal. Quote, "We cannot bet on the future of our pensions," Borne said amid jeers and chants from lawmakers. This reform is necessary. So they're obviously very upset. But again, imagine if they were raising the retirement age from 62 all the way up to 70. I mean, they're very angry about raising up to 64. In the US, our full retirement age is 66 to 67, depending on your date of birth. So, I mean, ours is already pretty high. Granted, you can retire at 62 if you want to receive the minimum benefit, but here you do have to wait to 66 or 67 if you want to receive the full amount. Now, in some other news, according to Go Banking Rates, the Social Security COLA could fall below 2% in 2024. So the falling U.S. inflation rate is good news for American consumers, but it could lead to a much smaller cost of living adjustment for Social Security beneficiaries next year, possibly as low as 2% or less. That estimate was provided by the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan seniors advocacy group based on the latest inflation figures. If the fiscal 2024 COLA does dip below 2%, it would be the smallest adjustment since 2020. The Senior Citizens League projection for a much lower COLA in fiscal 2024 is based on the 12-month average rate for CPIW, which has been on the decline. The overall inflation rate rose 6% for the 12 months ending February 2023, according to a report this week from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That was the smallest 12-month increase since the period ending September 2021. Quote, "Based on February's inflation data, the fiscal year 2024 COLA looks like it will be below 3% and could fall into the 2% or even lower range by the third quarter if that 12-month average continues to decline," Barry Johnson, the Social Security and Medicare policy analyst at the Senior Citizens League, wrote in an email to CBS Money Watch. Her group will issue an official forecast for the 2024 COLA in May, but a small adjustment next year could prove to be bad news for seniors who have plenty of experience dealing with COLAs that don't keep up with inflation. Even with this year's historically high 8.7% COLA, not all seniors are convinced it is effective at battling high prices for food and other items. As previously reported by Go Banking Rates, a recent survey from the Senior Citizens League found that more than half, 54% of older consumers, remain unconvinced that the 8.7% COLA will keep pace with rising costs in 2023. Roughly the same number of survey respondents reported that their household cost in 2022 rose by more than the current COLA. So a lot of people are saying that the 8.7% cost of living adjustment this year was just not enough to keep up with inflation. I am definitely interested in hearing your thoughts. Do you believe that the 8.7% was not enough? According to some other inflation models, they said that it should have been much closer to maybe like 15%, that the CPIW doesn't really reflect the rising costs. But again, I am definitely interested in hearing your thoughts in comments below. But that's all the news that we have for today's video. Again, I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.